I nearly died in a hospital bed, alone, hooked to machines, lungs burning with pneumonia, and my daughter Ashley didn't even call. She didn't check in, didn't visit, didn't ask if I needed anything. She threw a party, with catered wine and rooftop photos, and that's when I realized I was never her mother anymore. I was just her fallback, her free childcare, her silent, unpaid shadow. So I did the one thing she never expected. I left. No goodbye. No warning. Just a dragon book, a note for my grandson, and silence. Tyler's laugh echoed down the hallway, soft and clear, like it always did when I picked him up from school. 6 years old, hair like summer straw, and a smile that could melt any heart. Even mine, a heart worn and bruised from a lifetime of giving too much. I tightened the Velcro on his little sneakers and handed him his juice box. He leaned his head against my shoulder like he used to when he was still small enough to fit in one arm. "Grandma, do we have time to read that dragon book again tonight?" I smiled. "Of course we do, baby. We always do." That night, Ashley didn't come until almost 10 p.m. Her heels clicked across the tile like they owned the place. She barely glanced up from her phone as she dropped Tyler's backpack by the door, keys jangling behind her. "Sorry, got caught up with the team. Big pitch week. You know how it is." She didn't look at me when she said it, just swept out as fast as she came in. Didn't ask how his day was, didn't notice the paper crown he made. Didn't say thank you. I stood in the kitchen holding the Tupperware of lasagna I'd made for her. I'd even warmed it, covered it in foil, set the good cloth napkin beside it like she was still my little girl, home from dance class and tired from the day. But all she said was, "I'll grab something later." She took a call on her AirPods and disappeared down the driveway. And the next day? My birthday. Not a word, not a card, not a text, not even a voicemail. Just silence. I sat with Cora on the front porch that morning, watching the sun crawl across the neighbor's shingles. She handed me a cup of coffee, too strong, just the way I like it, and said nothing at first. She didn't have to. "She forget again?" she finally asked. I nodded. "MMHMM. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just looked at that sky and swallowed every ache that wanted to rise up through my throat. She used to call me every day. Used to ask for advice about boys, recipes, hair products. Now I was a built-in sitter. A line in her schedule. A convenience. But, when she needs me. When the daycare's closed, or Tyler's got the sniffles, or there's a last-minute meeting. That's when the calls come. That's when I matter. I remember once, after her father passed, I held her in the parking lot of the funeral home while she sobbed into my coat, makeup running down my chest. She was 28 then. "Don't ever leave me, Mama," she whispered. And I believed her. Lord help me, I believed her. But now? It's like I vanished the moment I stopped being useful. After Ashley left that night, I sat down on the edge of my bed. Tyler's little socks were still balled in the laundry basket. His storybook, The Fire-Breathing Goodnight, was open on the last page. I'd read it 3 times before bed. He always begged for one more, and he never forgot to say thank you. Not once. I looked at the clock. 10:52 p.m. I picked up my phone, stared at her contact photo, the one from her college graduation. Her cap crooked, me kissing her cheek. I typed one word into the message field, nothing. Just watched the blinking cursor dance for a moment, and then closed the app. I wouldn't be calling her. Not this time. That night, as I lay in the quiet, I thought about all the birthdays I'd celebrated for her. The handmade cakes, the ponytail holders I'd slip over her wrists so she could carry her lip gloss, the hours spent stitching the hem on her homecoming dress when she said store-bought looked too stiff. I raised her with my whole heart. I gave until it wore me thin. And now? She couldn't even text, "Happy birthday, Mom." I rolled over and stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in years, I asked myself a question I'd never dared before. What would happen if I stopped answering her calls? Just didn't show up? Not out of spite, not even out of hurt, but out of something quieter, heavier, out of finally realizing my worth wasn't a thing to be measured in favors or miles driven or Unpaid babysitting hours. I was still a woman. A person. Not a damn utility. I whispered to the dark, what if I left? Not forever. Just long enough for the silence to stretch, for the empty to echo. Would she notice? Would it even register? And then, from the next room, Tyler coughed in his sleep. Just a little tickle. But I was on my feet before my mind even caught up. I sat on the edge of his bed, brushed his curls back, kissed his temple. He stirred, blinked up at me. You okay, sweetheart? I whispered. Just thirsty. I padded to the kitchen and back, careful not to spill a drop. As he drank, he smiled. You're the best grandma ever. And in that moment, that tiny moment, I realized the truth. She may have forgotten. She may have taken me for granted. But he hadn't. Not yet. Not him. And he was still watching. I'd barely slept the next few nights. My heart wasn't broken. Exactly. It was worn out. Like an old doormat everyone steps over without seeing. But Tyler? That boy was a bright spot. Every morning he'd burst through the bedroom door in his dinosaur pajamas, breathless with excitement. Grandma, come look! I drew us riding a dragon! I knelt beside him, admired his stick figure masterpiece, and praised every detail. I meant every word. Ashley, though? Still no call, no apology, no acknowledgement that she'd breezed past my birthday like it didn't exist. So I did something I hadn't done in months. I tried to plan something. A proper Sunday dinner. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. A chocolate cake with thick ganache, just the way she liked when she was little. Back when she used to beg me to let her lick the beaters. I texted her the invite on Thursday. Family dinner this Sunday at 5. Hope you and Marcus can make it. Tyler's excited. Love you. No response that day. Or the next. Saturday evening, while I was chopping carrots and humming to myself, my phone buzzed. It was Ashley. Hey Mom, can't make dinner. We're slammed. Maybe next week. That was it. No explanation. No reschedule. No, wish we could. I stared at the message, hand tightening around the peeler. Then, like some cruel joke, not 10 minutes later, Cora sent me a screenshot. Ashley, at a sleek rooftop bar, laughter in her eyes, her hand wrapped around a martini glass. The caption? Celebrating the pitch win with Marcus's team. Grateful. #work hard, play hard. My knees buckled a little. I sat down at the kitchen table. The carrots stayed half chopped. I don't know why I was surprised. I'd seen it coming in little pieces. All the signs. Like crumbs leading to a truth I didn't want to face. But seeing her like that, so present with everyone but me, it cut deep. I didn't even forward the photo to Ashley. Didn't comment, didn't call. But that next morning, I pulled out a small notebook from the drawer, the one I'd kept tucked away behind the bills. I wrote the date in the corner and one sentence beneath it. She lied. Again. Cora came by later that afternoon, arms full of folded towels. Thought you could use some fresh ones, she said, setting them on the dryer. I nodded, then told her everything. The dinner, the text, the Instagram story. She didn't interrupt, just stood quiet in my little laundry room, her hands still warm from the dryer. When I finished, she sighed. That girl's got her ladder leaned against the wrong wall. I blinked. What? She's climbing all right, just not realizing it's a building without a roof. One day she's going to get to the top and realize she left everything that mattered down below. We shared a look. Cora had never judged Ashley out loud before, but I could see it in her face now. The slow shift from concern to quiet disappointment. That night, I lit a candle for myself. A silly ritual I used to do in my younger years, back when I needed reminders that I still mattered. I poured a cup of tea, sat by the window, and watched the world settle into dusk. Ashley hadn't even asked how Tyler was that weekend, didn't check to see if he ate, if he was happy. But I had. I always did. And suddenly the thought hit me, what if I stopped cooking the roast? What if I stopped sending the reminders? What if I stopped pretending like I'm not exhausted? The idea didn't feel angry. It felt peaceful. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just wanted to see what silence felt like when it came from me. Monday came around, and with it, the school's spring showcase. Tyler's class had been practicing a little song and dance about ocean animals for weeks. He'd been talking about it nonstop. Ashley, of course, promised she'd be there. I already blocked my calendar, she told me Friday morning. Tell him I wouldn't miss it. So I did. And he believed her. He wore his little blue polo with the sea turtle patch. Practiced his crab shuffle across my kitchen floor until I had to laugh. Don't fall on your claws, sweet pea. I packed him a lunch, combed his hair, and walked him to school with my camera slung over my shoulder. By showtime, the auditorium was packed. Parents jostling for seats. Teachers wrangling kids backstage. And there I sat, second row center, saving a spot beside me just like Ashley asked. But 5 minutes turned into 10. Then, 15. Then the curtain rose. And Ashley's seat stayed empty. Again. Tyler kept glancing into the crowd, his little eyes scanning every row, every head. I saw him squint through the lights, mouth open like he was about to call out. But then the music started, and he turned back toward the stage with a smile so brave it just about broke me in two. They danced their little sea creature waltz. Tyler wore his paper crab hat proudly, arms clicking and legs shuffling like a pro. The other kids forgot half their steps. But not him. My sweet boy remembered every single move. I clapped louder than anyone, and when the show ended, I ran backstage with the other parents. Held him so tight I thought my ribs might crack. You did it, baby. You were wonderful. He grinned, breathless, eyes shining. Did Mommy see? I hesitated, just a beat. She really wanted to, sweetheart. But she had to work. He looked down at his shoes. Oh, okay. A beat later, his little voice. Can we send her a video? I nodded. Of course. We filmed it right there. Him waving at the camera, crab hat crooked, yelling, "Hi, Mommy! I was a crab, I miss you!" We sent it to Ashley. She never replied. Later that week, the school hosted a little reception for parents and teachers. Just some juice boxes, cookies, and a bulletin board covered in glitter art. I hadn't planned to go, but Tyler's teacher, Ms. Alvarez, asked me to stop by, said she wanted to talk about next year's curriculum. Ashley, for once, actually showed up. She breezed in 20 minutes late, perfume strong enough to knock the air out of your lungs, designer blouse, sleek heels, sunglasses still perched on her head like a crown. Marcus trailed behind, shoulders slouched like always, mumbling a hello before wandering off to the refreshments. I was kneeling by the snack table with Tyler when she spotted us. "Oh, there you are," she chirped, loud enough to draw attention from two nearby parents. "I've been dying to meet the other moms. Tyler's just been raving about his babysitter." My head jerked up. "Babysitter?" She waved at Ms. Alvarez, who stood just a few feet away. "You've met her, right? Denise? His sitter? Godsend, honestly. Works for peanuts, but she's reliable." I stood up slowly, not furious, not flustered, just stunned. "Babysitter?" I asked, voice soft but steady. Ashley laughed lightly, tossing her hair. "Oh, don't be dramatic, Mom. It's just easier to explain to people. I mean, you're not really like a formal grandparent figure, right?" Ms. Alvarez blinked, visibly confused. "Ashley, I thought she was Tyler's grandmother." A tense silence fell. Ashley smiled too wide. "Well, of course, technically, but she's here all the time, so we just sort of call her his sitter." I felt something slip loose inside me, like a wire snapped. I didn't argue, didn't make a scene. I just took Tyler's hand, turned to Ms. Alvarez, and said, "Excuse us, I think we've had enough glitter for one day." I walked Tyler all the way home. Didn't speak, didn't cry. When we got inside, he looked up at me and whispered, "Mommy was acting weird." I nodded. She was. Then I took off his crab hat and placed it gently on the bookshelf. "But you weren't, sweetheart. You were perfect." That night, I sat on the porch with Cora, drinking tea and watching the wind blow through the lilacs. She didn't ask what happened, just passed me a fresh cup. But after a while, I said it out loud. She called me his sitter. Cora's lips tightened. She what? In front of the other parents. And the teacher. She stared out at the street for a long moment. She's not ashamed of you, Denise, she said finally. I sighed. Feels like it. No, she said firmly. She's ashamed of needing you. That's different. That girl's wrapped up so tight in her own reflection, she's forgotten who polished the mirror. That line stayed with me, all night long, because I had polished it, all those years. Ironed her clothes for interviews, sat through her tantrums, and heartaches, and long nights studying for her MBA. I watched her become a woman. I just never imagined she'd grow into someone who could lie like that. So easily, so publicly. A few days passed, and still no apology. Not even a text. But then I got sick. Nothing dramatic. Just one of those stubborn, dragging bugs. Cough, chills, dizziness that made me sit down halfway through folding laundry. I didn't want to worry Cora. She already had enough on her plate, what with her husband's knee acting up again. So I called Ashley. My hands were cold, voice raspy. Sweetheart, I hate to ask, but I need a ride to urgent care. Can you come? There was a pause on the line. Then she sighed. Ugh, Mom. I've got a pitch meeting in 15. Can I just call you an Uber? I said nothing. She didn't wait for an answer. It'll be there in 8 minutes. Love you? Click. I rode to the clinic with a stranger. Pale, wrapped in 2 sweaters. The driver didn't speak English. I didn't care. The doctor frowned at my chest x-ray. You need to go to the ER tonight, he said. Don't wait. Pneumonia can get serious fast at your age. I nodded, too tired to argue. So that night, I packed my own overnight bag, took myself to the hospital, alone. And as I lay there with wires on my chest and a machine beeping beside my bed, I thought of something Ashley had once whispered to me when she was 7, crying after a nightmare. I'll never leave you, Mommy. Ever. Not even if I get famous. I closed my eyes, turned away from the light. I never wanted fame, sweetheart. Just your love. And right now, I didn't even know if I had that anymore. The ER wasn't crowded that night. Just quiet. Too quiet. I sat propped up in bed with an IV dripping into my arm, watching shadows shift across the curtain as nurses whispered down the hall. The woman in the next bed was groaning softly. I heard the wheels of a food tray squeak past, then nothing for hours. No flowers, no calls, no daughter, just me, and the slow, measured beep of a heart monitor. It wasn't until the next morning, bleary-eyed and aching, that I remembered Cora didn't even know I was here. Neither did Tyler. Ashley? Well, I figured she'd check her phone eventually. Around noon, my cell buzzed. Ashley, hey, how'd it go at urgent care? Better now? No question mark about me needing help. No concern. Just a casual text like she was checking the weather. I stared at the screen. My fingers hovered, then typed. They admitted me. Pneumonia. ER overnight. Still here. No answer. An hour passed. 2. Then finally. Yikes. Can't believe they kept you. That's wild. I've been slammed. Marcus had a deadline. Can Tyler stay at your place again tonight? That was it. Not even a feel better. No. Do you need anything? Just, can you still cover childcare? Even from a hospital bed. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and set the phone down. For the first time in my life, I let the anger sit. Didn't excuse it. Didn't soften it with, she's just stressed, or she didn't mean it like that. No, she meant it. Every careless word. Every assumption that I'd keep picking up the slack, no matter the cost to me. That afternoon, a nurse walked in with a chart. You've got someone in the waiting room, she said, smiling. Your daughter? I sat up so fast my ribs ached. But when the curtain pulled back, it wasn't Ashley. It was Cora, wearing a thick scarf and clutching a plastic bag full of soup containers. Oh, sweetheart, she murmured, rushing to my side. You look pale as paste. I blinked fast. You came all the way here? Of course I did, she said, setting the soup down. That girl of yours didn't even call me. I had to hear from Bernice at the salon. Said she overheard Ashley at the cafe talking about some big marketing gala she's hosting tomorrow night. My stomach twisted. She's throwing a party? Cora nodded, unwrapping a sandwich and tucking it into my hand like a mother hen. With a wine sponsor and gold-plated invites. You're in here on oxygen. I bit into the sandwich just to keep from crying. Cora didn't push. She just sat beside me, watching the monitor blink like a tiny, indifferent metronome. She's not coming, is she? I asked finally. Cora shook her head. No, honey, she isn't. I was discharged late the next day. The nurse offered to call someone for me, but I told her no, I already knew the answer. So I called a cab, wrapped my coat around me like armor, and rode home in silence. When I stepped through the door, my answering machine blinked once. Ashley's voice came through, bright and airy. Hey, Mom. Hope you're feeling better. Just wanted to check if you were good for Thursday. I've got a late client dinner. Tyler's teacher said they're doing show and tell, and he insisted on bringing his rock collection, LOL. You're the best. No, I love you. No, I'm sorry. Just another favor. Another ask. I deleted the message, then sat on the couch for a long time, hands in my lap, watching the winter light fade through the blinds. The next morning, I drove myself to the pharmacy, picked up my prescriptions, and then stopped by the grocery store. Tyler's favorite cereal. The one with the marshmallow moons. Even sick, I couldn't not think of him. And that's when I saw her. Ashley. In the wine aisle. Hair curled, makeup perfect, laughing with a coworker as she waved a bottle in the air. Oh my God, this one's perfect for the welcome table. So aesthetic. I stood there, frozen, holding my shopping basket like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She didn't see me, didn't glance up, just kept laughing, swirling Chardonnay, like she was already at the gala. And I realized something right there, under the cold white lights of aisle 9. She didn't forget about me. She wasn't overwhelmed. She chose this, over and over again. Chose appearances over relationship, chose convenience over care, chose everyone but me. That night, I sat in my chair and stared at the wall. Then I pulled out my notebook again, wrote 2 lines. Asterisk, she threw a party while I was hospitalized. I was still the one buying Tyler's cereal. Then I did something I'd never done before. I turned off my phone, set it in the drawer, and left it there. The next morning I woke up to a strange quiet. No vibrating phone, no cheerful ding of a text from Ashley. No Tyler bounding down the hallway. Just birds chirping somewhere far off, and the hum of the heater kicking on. I sat up slowly, easing stiff joints and sore ribs, and wrapped myself in my robe. The phone stayed off. For the first time in years, I let the world wait. I poured myself some coffee, pulled out a crossword, and tried to enjoy the silence. But about halfway through 17 across, a soft knock came at the door. It was Cora again. That woman was like a one-woman rescue team. Only this time, she didn't come with soup. She came with news. Well, she said, settling into my armchair with a sigh. I ran into that friend of Ashley's. Sherry, the one with the tan heels and attitude. She works downtown too. I raised an eyebrow. And? Cora leaned in like she was delivering state secrets. She told me Ashley just got a huge quarterly bonus. 10 grand at least. Said she was eyeing one of those luxury compact SUVs. Said it was time for an upgrade. I stared at her, blinking slow. A bonus. A new car. Meanwhile, I'd been covering Tyler's swim lessons for the last 4 months, $65 a week, and Ashley hadn't even brought it up. Not once. I'd just paid the most recent one the week before. Sitting in my car, writing a check in the cold while she ran a gala with catered wine and a dress that probably cost more than my rent. She didn't say anything about paying me back, I murmured. Cora gave me a look. Honey, of course she didn't. Because in her mind, she doesn't owe you. You're the grandma. The fallback. The invisible safety net. My chest tightened. I'd brushed off the little things. The late thank yous, the canceled visits, the casual dismissals. But this was something else. This was deliberate. I picked up my notebook again that afternoon and wrote in block letters, $10,000 bonus, no reimbursement, swim lessons still unpaid. Then I flipped back a few pages. My hand trembled as I read the entries one by one, each one a small wound I'd tried to ignore. They added up. They painted a picture. And it wasn't pretty. That night, I got a call from Ms. Alvarez, Tyler's teacher. She was checking in. Said Tyler had seemed distracted in class lately. He's still sweet as ever, just quiet. Not his usual spark. We're wondering if anything's going on at home. I hesitated. No big changes, I said softly. But thank you for telling me. My heart sank the moment I hung up. Of course he was off. Of course he felt it. Kids always do. They see more than we think. They feel every ignored question, every missed promise, every canceled dinner and tired sigh. Ashley thought she was hiding it well, thought her son would never notice the weight shifting around him, but he did. He noticed when she skipped the showcase. He noticed when she didn't come to pick him up, again and again. He noticed when I looked a little sad and tried to cheer me up with his silly dino dance. He was 6. And he was already learning that love came with conditions. The next morning, I looked around my little house. The toy chest in the corner, the finger paintings on the fridge, the spare toothbrush in the bathroom marked T. I loved that boy, but loving him couldn't keep me here like this. Not anymore. Something had to shift, and for the first time, I was starting to believe it didn't have to be me. That afternoon, as if on cue, Ashley finally showed up, hair pulled back, dressed down in jeans and a designer hoodie, coffee in hand like she was just stopping by between errands. "Oh good, you're up," she said, stepping over the threshold without knocking. "Can I drop Tyler off for a few hours? Marcus has a dentist thing, and I need to swing by the dealership." I said nothing. She frowned, glancing around. "Didn't you get my texts?" I turned my phone off. She blinked. "Oh, okay. Well, anyway, just a few hours. He's got that little show and tell rock thing, so if you could help him prep." I stood up. "About the swim lessons," I said, cutting her off. She froze. "The ones I've been paying for since January still haven't been reimbursed." Her mouth opened, then closed. "Oh, right. I meant to get to that." $10,000, I said. "That's what Sherry said your bonus was." Her jaw tightened. "Wow. You've been talking to Sherry? I've been paying your son's expenses while you wine and dine clients." Ashley's cheeks flushed pink. "That's not fair." "No," I said calmly. "What's not fair is expecting your mother to bankroll your child's life while you pretend you're self-made." She crossed her arms. "You don't get it. This job, it's demanding. The image matters. I can't just slow down because you want to talk about receipts." "I nearly died last week, Ashley." Silence. "I was alone in the ER. You sent an Uber. And now you're here to drop off your son like I'm the help." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You didn't say it was that bad." I laughed, cold and short. "You didn't ask." That night, I packed a small bag. Just one. I stared at the calendar, marked up with Tyler's art shows and dentist appointments. Then I pulled out a blank sheet and wrote a note. "To my sweet boy, I'll be away for a while. But don't worry, Grandma loves you so much. Always has, always will. You're the brightest thing in my world. Here's our dragon book. Read it whenever you miss me. I'll be thinking of you too. Love, Grandma." Then I slipped the note inside the book, turned off the lights, and closed the door. I didn't leave in the middle of the night, like someone sneaking off with shame clinging to her heels. No. I left at dawn. The sky was soft gray, the kind that wraps around you like a shawl, quiet and heavy. I pulled the suitcase down the front steps, careful not to wake the neighborhood. Just me, my purse, and the one bag I allowed myself. Everything else? It could wait. I boarded a Greyhound heading west. Didn't say where. Didn't tell Cora. Not yet. She would have tried to stop me, hugged me until I stayed. And Lord knows I might have crumbled if I saw Tyler's face that morning. So I slipped away, like morning mist, headed for my cousin Luann's place across the state line. She'd lost her husband last year too. Said the guest room was always mine, no questions asked. Funny how the people who have the least to give are always the first to offer it. Back at home, it didn't take long for Ashley to panic. Cora told me later how it unfolded. How Ashley banged on her door in yoga pants and rage, phone in hand like a weapon. "Where's my mom? Is she with you?" Cora just sipped her tea, calm as ever. "Nope." Ashley pushed her sunglasses up, tried to keep that high-gloss image together. "She left a note. For Tyler." "That's it." Cora nodded. "Then I guess that's all she wanted to leave." Ashley gaped. "She didn't even text me." Cora's voice turned flat. "You didn't text her when she was in the hospital." Ashley's lips parted, but no sound came out. And for the first time, Cora told me, she actually looked scared. Meanwhile, Tyler, he took it differently. Cora said he came by the house with Marcus that first afternoon, holding the dragon book to his chest like a shield. "She left her book," he whispered. Marcus tried to comfort him, clumsy, soft-voiced. "Grandma's just on a trip, buddy. She'll be back soon." Tyler shook his head. "No, she won't." "How do you know?" He opened the book, showed Marcus the note. "Because she said goodbye." Cora's eyes welled up when she told me that part. Said it hit her like a punch in the ribs. That night, Tyler refused to go to sleep in his room. Took his sleeping bag and lay down beside the front door. Just in case she comes back. Lord help me. Even now, I can barely write that without crying. A few days later, when things had cooled some, Marcus tried again. Took Tyler out for ice cream, hoping to cheer him up. That's when it happened. That's when Tyler said the thing that broke the dam. He was sitting across from Marcus, spoon in hand, when he looked up and asked, "Are we going to move Grandma to the other grandma house?" Marcus frowned. "What do you mean?" "Mommy said Grandma's too old to help much now. She said maybe she'll move to where other grandmas live, so we don't have to keep checking on her." Marcus froze. "Did she say that exactly?" Tyler nodded, swinging his legs under the bench. "She said Grandma's always tired now, and she forgets stuff. And you were gonna look up a place for old people." He paused, then added with a frown, "But Grandma remembers my stuff." Marcus didn't say anything. Just looked at his son like he was seeing him for the first time. "Mommy also said Grandma doesn't listen," Tyler added. "But she always listens to me." Marcus drove home in silence. No music, no talking, just Tyler in the back seat, clutching the dragon book. And when they pulled into the driveway, Tyler looked out the window and whispered, "I don't want another grandma. I want mine." Cora told me Marcus sat on the porch steps for nearly an hour that night. Didn't go inside, just sat thinking. Maybe realizing, finally, what had been building for years. The neglect, the dismissiveness, the slow erosion of family. Ashley had built her whole life like a corporate ladder, climbing every rung with sharp elbows and staged smiles. But what she didn't see was what she was stepping on along the way. Me, Tyler, even Marcus. And now the cracks were starting to show. As for me, I was in Luann's spare room, watching the trees sway outside her window, trying not to count how many days had passed. 3? 5? A week? It didn't matter. What mattered was the silence, and how good it felt. No pickups, no dinners gone cold, no begging for time or respect or repayment. Just peace. Luann made pancakes every morning. Real ones, with butter and brown edges. She didn't ask for the whole story. Just hugged me when I cried and laughed when I didn't. "You know what they say," she said one night as we watched reruns. "Sometimes it takes a vanishing act to make people see what's missing." I nodded. But inside, a voice whispered, "What if they don't? What if she never does?" And then another voice, quieter but stronger, answered, "Then you still did the right thing." Luann's guest room had floral curtains and a bed that squeaked every time I turned over. But somehow, I slept better there than I had in years. No knocks at 6 a.m. No half-eaten lunchboxes in the sink. No calls asking if I could just pick 'em up this one time. Just stillness. The kind of stillness you forget exists when you've been orbiting someone else's needs for too long. It had been 11 days since I left, and for 11 days, my phone stayed off. Luann said she was proud of me, in that quiet way she has, like a woman who's seen too many others give too much. "You didn't run away," she told me one night, passing me a bowl of popcorn. "You reclaimed something." And I suppose I had, but guilt has a voice of its own. It creeps in through the vents, hides in the sugar bowl, sits beside you at breakfast. I kept picturing Tyler. Not Ashley, not Marcus, just him. That soft little knock on my door. That sleepy voice, saying, "Grandma, do you think dragons are real?" I'd traced the lines of his note, creased and folded in my purse like a secret, reading my own goodbye back to myself, hoping he didn't think I vanished without loving him. Because I did. I loved him more than I'd ever been able to explain. But love doesn't mean staying where you're mistreated. Even for a child. Especially for a child. Because children learn from what we allow. And I wasn't going to teach him that Grandma's love meant tolerating disrespect. That love was endurance. Or sacrifice. Or silence. No, sir. He'd know I left because I loved him. He'd learn what a boundary looks like. What dignity sounds like. And maybe, someday, he'd thank me for it. Back in town, Ashley was unraveling. Cora said it started on day 3. The first morning, Denise didn't show up for school pickup. Marcus was out the door, already late for work. Tyler refused to get in the car with a sitter Ashley hired off a neighborhood app. "She smells like strawberries," he whispered, lip trembling. "Not like Grandma." Ashley was 40 minutes late to a client presentation that day. Strike 1. By day 5, Tyler was throwing tantrums every afternoon, screaming at strangers, refusing to eat. Ashley blamed the sitter, blamed the school, blamed Marcus, but never herself, until day 7, the day the sitter quit. Apparently, Tyler locked himself in the bathroom for an hour, sobbing into his dragon book. She found him curled in a ball on the floor, the pages clutched to his chest like armor. "She's gone," he said simply, "and it's your fault." Cora told me that's when things shifted. Ashley stopped showing up to work on time, stopped taking calls. She'd sit in her SUV outside her own house, engine running, staring at the front door like it might open and rewind time. But it never did. On day 9, Ashley finally came knocking at Cora's door. Hair pulled back, sunglasses hiding her eyes. "Where is she?" Cora didn't flinch. "You mean Denise?" Ashley nodded, lips tight. "She's gone," Cora said simply. "Gone where?" "That's not for me to say." Ashley exhaled sharply. "Look, I know things got strained." Cora gave a small, dry chuckle. "That's what we're calling it?" Ashley bristled. "This is between me and my mom." "Funny," Cora replied, crossing her arms. "Didn't seem that way when you were parading her around as a babysitter to your boss's wife." Ashley looked down. "She gave you everything," Cora said, voice low. "And you treated her like a to-do list. She never said anything," Ashley whispered. "She never told me she was upset." "She didn't have to," Cora said. "She showed up. Every day. That was her love, and you used it like a free service." Ashley looked up, mascara clumping in the corner of her eye. "Is she okay?" "She's safe. That's all you need to know." "Can you tell her I'm sorry?" Cora studied her, then said, softly but firmly, "Tell her yourself, if she wants to hear it." Then she closed the door. Later that night, Cora called me. "I didn't tell her where you are," she said, "but I think the wall cracked a little." "Maybe," I said, "but that wall's been growing for years." She was quiet, then added, "Tyler misses you. It's breaking my heart." I bit my lip. "I miss him too. Do you want to call him?" I shook my head, even though she couldn't see it. "Not yet. Not until I know I can do it without giving in." Cora sighed. "You're stronger than you think." Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. But I was no longer invisible. And that was a start. It started with a missed pickup. Then another. and another. By the second week, Ashley had burned through 3 different sitters. One quit mid-shift. Another left in tears after Tyler hurled a juice box at her, shouting, "You're not Grandma?" The last one? She simply ghosted, left the key under the mat, and vanished. Marcus was doing what he could, bless him, but he wasn't built for confrontation. He shuffled around like a man caught in someone else's storm. Late to work, bags under his eyes, trying to play referee between a wife unraveling and a 6-year-old falling apart. Cora said it was like watching a house catch fire. Slow at first, until the flames jumped room to room. Ashley tried to contain it, tried to double down on her schedule, on her image, on pretending this was just a rough patch. But there were cracks in the mask. First came the forgotten emails, then the missed meetings, then the big one, the pitch. That Thursday morning, Ashley had been scheduled to present a brand redesign to a major client. Her team had worked on it for 6 weeks. It was her moment, her chance to prove herself as a creative lead, not just a sleek marketing mouthpiece. But Ashley never showed. Cora heard it from Sherry at the bakery. Apparently, Ashley had sent a frantic email at 4 a.m. saying she had a family emergency. Word traveled fast. By Friday, HR was involved. They wanted to check in, make sure everything at home was manageable. Ashley swore up and down she just needed a few more days. Said her mom was sick, that childcare was in flux. They gave her until Monday to get it together. 3 days. And no Denise. Meanwhile, Tyler refused to go to daycare. Cora told me how he clung to the porch post like a baby koala, sobbing into his sleeves. "Where's Grandma?" he asked through hiccups. "Why won't she call me?" Ashley couldn't answer, couldn't lie fast enough to outpace the truth. She just needed a little break, she said weakly. Tyler stared at her. "Did you break her?" Ashley flinched. Marcus, to his credit, started asking real questions. "What did you say to your mom, Ash?" "I didn't say anything," she snapped. She left. No one leaves for no reason. Ashley rolled her eyes. She's sensitive. Always has been. You know that. But Marcus wasn't buying it anymore. Not after hearing what Tyler said in the car that day. Not after remembering all the little things. How Denise had been coughing for weeks. How pale she looked after that ER visit. How Ashley barely blinked when she said she was too busy to drive her. The dots were connecting. And the picture wasn't pretty. At Luann's, I was folding laundry and listening to the local news when my phone, still off, buzzed for the first time in days. I'd left it charging on the nightstand, just in case. Curiosity got the better of me. I turned it on. 47 missed calls, all from Ashley. I stared at the screen, unmoved. Voicemails flooded in. The first few were clipped. "Mom, I just need to talk to you." Then sharper. "Can you please call me back? This isn't funny." Then frantic. "Tyler's not eating. I don't know what to do. Everyone's asking questions. You need to come home." And then, finally, one I hadn't expected. A whisper. "Mom, I think I messed up. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please, just tell me what to do." My throat closed. I sat there on the edge of the bed, listening to her voice crumple under its own weight. But I didn't call back. Not yet, because she still hadn't said the one thing I needed to hear. Not fix it. Not cover for me. Just one word. Sorry. Back in town, Ashley had stopped going to the office entirely. She claimed it was temporary. Remote work. Just until Tyler stabilized. But the truth? She couldn't face them. Not after the client backed out of the redesign deal. Not after Mr. Patel, the HR director, sent her that email, gently recommending a leave of absence. Not until she fixed her life, which, for the first time, she realized wasn't Denise's job. It had never been. Cora called me that weekend, voice low. "She's unraveling, Dee. Not just tired, not just flustered, empty." I figured. She keeps asking around, asking if anyone's heard from you. "I know. Do you want me to tell her you're safe?" I paused, then nodded. "Yes." But don't tell her where I am. Cora didn't ask why. Didn't need to. She knew, because the thing Ashley had never understood, the thing she'd never asked to understand, was that I had a breaking point too. I just never showed it. Until now. That night, I sat on Luann's porch with a mug of tea and a blanket around my shoulders. The stars looked different out there. Clearer. Quieter. Like they didn't care who called or cried or demanded another favor. I took a long breath, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone's second option. I felt like myself. Not Mom, not Grandma, just Denise. And Lord, she was still here. Marcus came home late that Sunday night. He walked through the door, loosened his tie, and dropped his keys in the bowl with a heavy clink. Ashley was curled on the couch, laptop open, scrolling through daycare waitlists like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. "Any luck?" he asked, voice hollow. She didn't answer. Just kept clicking. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees, watching his wife with tired eyes. "Ash, we need to talk." She didn't look up. "If it's about my mom again, don't." "It is about your mom." He waited. Still, she wouldn't meet his eyes. "You've got to stop acting like she just disappeared," he said gently. "She didn't vanish. She left. Because of you." Ashley's fingers paused on the trackpad. "She left because she's dramatic. She's always been like that, taking things personally. She nearly died, Ashley. That made her freeze. You sent her an Uber when she had pneumonia. She said she was fine. She said she needed a ride, and you chose work. Again." Ashley stood, pacing. "What do you want me to say?" "I was under pressure. We were short-staffed. Tyler was already behind in school and the pitch." Marcus raised a hand. "Stop." She turned, stunned. His voice was calm, but the edge was unmistakable. "You keep talking like she's a task you forgot to delegate, like she's some broken appliance that walked out of your life. She's your mother, and she gave up everything for us." Ashley's jaw clenched. "I never asked her to." "No," he said, "but you sure didn't stop her either." That night, Tyler had another nightmare. He woke up screaming, his tiny voice echoing down the hallway like a siren. Ashley rushed in first, hair wild, eyes panicked, but Tyler shoved her hand away. "I want Grandma." Marcus sat beside the bed, gently rubbing Tyler's back. "Buddy, remember? Grandma's taking a little break." Tyler sobbed into his pillow. "She's not coming back. It's 'cause Mommy was mean." Ashley's breath hitched. She knelt beside the bed, whispering, "That's not true. She just needed some rest." "You said you were going to put her with the other grandmas," Tyler snapped. "I heard you." The words hung in the air like smoke. Ashley covered her mouth. Marcus turned away. And in that moment, Ashley saw it, saw herself through her child's eyes. Not the boss, not the achiever, not the woman with the sleek resume and the glossy Instagram. Just the daughter who'd used up every ounce of grace her mother had left to give. And now, she was the reason her son cried at night. The next morning, Ashley didn't go to work, didn't turn on her laptop, didn't post anything. She sat at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee, staring at the dragon book Tyler left there after breakfast. On the inside cover, Denise had written, "For Tyler, because your imagination is big enough for both of us. Love, Grandma." Ashley traced the letters with her finger, then flipped to the last page. The note fell out. She hadn't read it before. "Not really. To my sweet boy, I'll be away for a while. But don't worry, Grandma loves you so much. Always has, always will. You're the brightest thing in my world." Her throat closed. She folded the note back into the book, and finally, let herself cry. Not the dainty kind of tears that roll down pretty cheeks. No. This was the messy kind. The kind that claw up from guilt-soaked ribs, that soak your sleeves, that feel like penance. 2 days later, she tried to return to work. Tried. But when she walked through the glass doors, the silence was deafening. No cheerful greetings. No, "You crushed that presentation," back pats. Just eyes darting away, heads bowed over keyboards. Mr. Patel waiting near her desk with a gentle, polite smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Ashley," he said softly. "Got a minute?" She nodded, throat dry. He gestured toward the small conference room. She followed like a schoolgirl about to be scolded. He closed the door behind them, sat, folded his hands. "I want to start by saying we've always valued you here." She swallowed hard. That preamble was never good. But it seems you're going through something personal, and it's affecting your performance." She opened her mouth. He held up a hand. "No judgment, no lectures. I just want to offer you something. A real option." He slid a paper across the table. "Temporary leave of absence. Unpaid. Optional. Recommended." Ashley stared at it. Didn't argue. Didn't protest. Just nodded. And signed. Mr. Patel offered a sad, kind smile. "Use the time wisely." That afternoon, she sat in her driveway for 23 minutes. Didn't go inside. Just stared at the front door. The one Denise used to open. The one Tyler kept checking. Every day, after school. She rested her head against the steering wheel and whispered, "I'm sorry." To the air. To the past. To the woman who wasn't there to hear it. And maybe never would be again. Ashley stayed home. For days, she stopped posting. Stopped pretending. Her calendar, once booked with meetings, launch parties, yoga classes, was empty. So she cleaned. Not the casual kind. The frantic kind. The kind people do when they can't fix themselves, so they scrub countertops instead. She pulled everything out of the pantry. Tossed expired soup cans and granola bars Denise had bought for Tyler. Caught herself staring at a jar of peanut butter for 10 minutes because it still had her mother's handwriting on the lid. Crunchy. T loves this. Her hands trembled as she set it aside. She kept moving. Dusted bookshelves. Vacuumed the baseboards. Washed every sheet in the house, even the ones in the linen closet. She told herself she was getting it together, but the mirror told another story. Bloodshot eyes, chapped lips, a woman unmoored. Marcus tried. He'd come home early, bring takeout, suggest movie night. But Ashley barely touched her food, stared straight ahead, like she was watching her life flicker across a screen she couldn't pause. "You should call her," he said one night, handing her the dragon book Tyler left on the kitchen table again. Ashley shook her head. "She won't answer." "Try anyway." Ashley ran her fingers over the worn cover. "She doesn't want to talk to me." Marcus tilted his head. "Then talk to me." "What happened, Ash?" Ashley didn't speak. Not right away. Then finally, a whisper. "She gave me everything." Marcus nodded. "Yeah, she did. I gave her nothing back." Marcus didn't disagree. That night, Ashley stood in Tyler's doorway. He was already asleep, curled on his side, cheeks pink and damp from another round of quiet tears. He still asked about Denise every day. And every day, Ashley lied. "She's just away for a little while. She'll call soon. She misses you so much." Only now. Ashley wasn't sure if that last part was even true anymore. She sat on the edge of his bed, brushing his hair back. Tyler stirred, eyes fluttering open. "Mom?" "Yeah, baby." He sat up slowly. "Did Grandma call?" Ashley's heart cracked clean in two. "No, sweetie, not yet." He looked down at his blanket. "Maybe she doesn't love us anymore." Ashley bit her lip. No, honey, that's not it." "Then why'd she leave?" Ashley blinked fast, her breath catching. "Because I hurt her," she whispered. "I didn't treat her the way she deserved." Tyler was quiet for a long time. Then, "Did you say sorry?" Ashley's voice broke. "Not yet." Tyler nodded solemnly. "You should. When I tell Miss Alvarez sorry, she always gives me a sticker." Ashley laughed through her tears, then held him, and promised something she wasn't sure she could keep. "I'll try, baby, I'll try." The next morning she picked up her phone, typed in the number, hit call, straight to voicemail. Her mother's voice, cheerful but distant, came on the line. "Hi, it's Denise. I'm probably off chasing Tyler or curled up with a good book. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you. Beep. Ashley froze, then hung up. She tried again. Same thing, then again, and again. By the fifth try, she left a message. Just one sentence. Mom, I'm sorry. She didn't say for what, didn't list the sins, didn't beg. Just said the word she should have said years ago. The next day, she tried again, and again. 47 calls total. No response. She wrote a letter. 3 pages, front and back. Told the truth, in ink, for the first time in her life. That she had used her mother. That she was ashamed. That she didn't know how to fix what she broke. But that she wanted to try. She sealed it. Held it in shaking hands. Then dropped it in the mailbox outside Cora's house. Didn't send it to Denise's old place. Didn't have a forwarding address. Just hoped that Cora would know what to do. Cora did. She didn't call Denise. She didn't forward it either. She drove to Luann's herself, parked on the gravel road, walked up to the porch, letter in hand. Denise was in the garden, wearing old gloves and a floppy sun hat, digging her fingers into warm soil. Her back stiffened when she saw Cora standing there. Something happen? Cora handed her the envelope. It's from Ashley. Denise stared at it. Didn't touch it. Cora didn't push. Just sat on the swing and waited. Denise washed her hands, dried them on her apron, took the letter, walked inside, and sat at the kitchen table. She stared at her name written in Ashley's rushed handwriting, then opened it. Read every word. And when she finished, she sat very still. Cora peeked through the window an hour later. Denise hadn't moved, just sat there, the letter folded on the table, hands clasped, eyes full of something older than anger, something closer to grief, but not hate. No, hate would have been easier. This was the slow burn of a mother watching a daughter try to put ashes back into a log. That night, Denise stepped out onto the porch, looked up at the stars again. Same sky, same woman. But maybe, just maybe, the story was shifting. Because for the first time, Ashley wasn't calling to demand. She was calling to confess. Ashley hadn't worn makeup in days. She barely looked at mirrors. Every time she passed one, she saw it, her mother's face, not just in the bone structure or the tired eyes, but in the set of her jaw, in the quiet that hung around her like fog. But she didn't feel like her. Not yet. Not without the courage. She hadn't heard back about the letter. No calls, no texts, nothing but silence. Marcus tried to encourage her. Give it time, he said gently. She needed years to reach that breaking point. She's not going to bounce back in 2 weeks. Ashley nodded. But inside, she was unraveling. She started driving by Denise's old duplex, just to see if a light was on, just to imagine her sitting there, maybe with a cup of chamomile and the TV humming in the background. But the unit stayed dark, empty, until one day, Ashley pulled into the drive and saw Cora sweeping the porch next door. Ashley stepped out of the car slowly, heart pounding. Cora looked up, didn't smile, didn't wave, just said, "You finally came." Ashley's voice cracked. Is she still gone? Cora set her broom aside, dust swirling at her feet. She's safe. Did she get my letter? Cora gave a single nod. Ashley stepped forward, hugging herself. Did she read it? She did. Ashley waited, breath caught. And? Cora tilted her head. What answer are you hoping for? Ashley's lips parted. But the words felt too big, so Cora filled the silence. She cried, she said. Read it once, then again. Sat at that table for hours. Ashley swallowed. Is she coming back? Cora stepped down from the porch, stood right in front of her. Let me ask you something, Ashley. Ashley braced herself. Do you even know what you're apologizing for? I hurt her, Ashley whispered. How? Ashley faltered. I took her for granted. I made her into a tool, like she was just there to serve me. Watch Tyler. Cook. Fill in when I couldn't. Cora waited. Ashley kept going. I forgot she was a person. A woman. A mother who had her own life. Her own aches. I stopped seeing her. Cora didn't nod, didn't soften. Then why? She asked. Are you here asking if she's coming back? Why aren't you the one going to her? Ashley blinked. I don't know where she is. I do. Ashley's breath caught. Will you tell me? Cora stepped closer, voice like gravel and steel. She gave you everything. You gave her nothing. That woman wiped fevers off your forehead, made you dinners after your father passed, walked your boy to school in the snow. You called her the babysitter. Ashley's eyes filled. I was ashamed, she said softly. Of her? Cora snapped. Or of how much you relied on her. Silence. Ashley looked down. I was ashamed that I couldn't do it all alone. She whispered. And instead of thanking her, I pushed her away. Cora studied her. Do you want forgiveness? Or do you just want relief? Ashley's chin quivered. I want to be better, she said. Not to patch it up. Not to go back to how it was. I want to start over. Be the daughter she deserves. For a long moment, Cora said nothing. Then she stepped aside. I'll give her your message, she said. If she wants to see you, she'll let you know. Ashley nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. As she turned to leave, Cora said one last thing. You don't fix this with flowers. Or tears. You fix it by showing up. Without ego. Without expectations. Just you. Humble. Ready to listen. Ashley nodded again. But this time, there was something steadier in her step as she walked away. That night, Cora sat at her kitchen table and picked up the phone. Called Luann. Still got our girl? She asked. Luann chuckled. She's been cleaning out my spice cabinet like it's the Pentagon. Good. She's gonna need the practice. Luann paused. Something happen? She had a visitor today. Oh? The other one. Luann was quiet. Did she cry? Didn't even try to hide it. Good, Luann said. She needed to bleed a little. Cora nodded. She bled. Back at Luann's, Denise was knitting on the porch when Cora's message came in. Luann stepped out with the cordless phone. It's Cora, she said. She talked to Ashley. Denise set the needles down, took the phone, listened in silence for a while, then said 2 words. Not yet. Luann didn't push, didn't ask, just nodded. Because even a good apology needs time to land, to settle, to sprout something worth rebuilding. Denise sat there long after the call ended, watching the sun drip behind the tree line, and when the stars came out, she whispered to the wind, Keep trying, baby girl. I'm listening. 3 days passed, then 4, then 5, and Ashley didn't hear a word. No calls, no texts, no note in the mailbox. She went through the motions, taking Tyler to school, making boxed dinners he barely touched, staring at the blinking cursor on a resignation email she couldn't bring herself to send. Each morning she hoped. Each night she wilted. Until one evening, as the sky turned sherbet pink, she pulled into the driveway and spotted something sticking out of the mailbox. A cream envelope. No stamp, no return address. Just her name. Ashley. Written in her mother's careful, familiar hand. She carried it inside like it might break, closed the door behind her, set down her purse, sat at the kitchen table, and opened it. The letter was handwritten, front and back, steady cursive. No smudges. Ashley read it once straight through, then again, and again, until her hand shook, until she couldn't see the ink through her tears. It read, Ashley, you used to sign your school papers Ashley D., and I'd always ask what the D stood for. You'd giggle and say, daughter. For a long time, I believed you meant it. And maybe you did. I remember you in pigtails, begging to stay up late. I remember how your little fingers would curl around my apron strings when you were scared. I remember holding your hand through your father's funeral, even though I wanted to crawl into the casket and disappear. I remember it all. Because I was your mother, before I was anything else. Before I was tired. Before I was used up. Before I became a convenient afterthought. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I started loving me again. I had to. If I'd stayed, I would have been teaching Tyler a dangerous lesson. That love means being invisible. That grandmothers exist to be scheduled, not cherished. And I won't be a silent example of that anymore. I raised you better than this. I know I did. I know that somewhere, beneath the pitch decks and planner pages, there's still a girl who used to bring me dandelions in a jelly jar and whisper, "I love you more than cake." She's in there. And if you ever find her again, if you ever decide to lead with love instead of pride, I'll be here. Not waiting, not wounded, just living, fully, finally. And maybe, if the day comes when you want a relationship, not a service, I'll meet you there. Until then, I'm rooting for you. With love, Mom Ashley sat at the table long after the letter ended. The sun had set. Tyler was asleep upstairs, the dragon book curled beside him like a second pillow. She traced her mother's signature with her thumb, the loops, the firm line under her name. Not waiting, not wounded, just living. She hadn't lost her mother. Not yet. But she'd lost the version of her who would bend, and she knew, deep in her marrow, that no gift, no favor, no frantic, "Look what I've done," would bring Denise back. Only truth. Only time. Only change. The next morning, Ashley stood in front of the bathroom mirror, washed her face, pulled her hair back. No makeup, no mask. Then she walked into Tyler's room. "Sweetheart," she said, brushing his hair from his forehead. "You and me, we're going on a little trip." "To see Grandma?" he asked, eyes wide. "No, baby," she said softly. "Not yet, but we're gonna write her a letter." Tyler sat up, hopeful. "Can I draw her a dragon?" "You can draw her too." They spent the morning with markers and crayons. Ashley helped him spell out every word. "Dear Grandma, I miss you. I read the book every night. I hope you are not sick." Mommy said sorry. "I love you." Ashley added her own note. "I read every word. And I heard you. Really heard you. I don't want to help her. I want my mother back. If that's still possible." They sealed the envelope, walked it down to Cora's porch together, left it under the flower pot. No expectation, no timeline, just hope. 3 states away, Denise stood at Luann's kitchen sink, washing blueberries when the phone rang. "Cora," Luann called out, holding the receiver. Denise wiped her hands, took the phone, listened in silence, then smiled. A small one, but real. "She said what?" Denise asked. Cora repeated it. "She's not asking you to come back," Cora said. "She's asking if she can come to you." Denise looked out the window. The lilacs were blooming. "She's bringing Tyler?" "Yep." There was a pause. Then Denise said, "Give her the address," and hung up. That night she pulled the dragon book from her own suitcase, ran her hand over the battered spine. Then she packed a second copy, just in case. Because maybe, just maybe, she'd read it again. Not as the babysitter, not as the fallback, but as Grandma, by choice, and on her own terms.